Traders are now floating a number for Shiba Inu that sounds impossible. That number is 0.0005. And here's why it might not be as crazy as it sounds. What is happening and what on earth am I even talking about? Well, let me explain. This content is provided for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Market conditions can change over time. Something shifted in the way serious market observers are talking about SHIB this week. A price target that was once dismissed as pure fantasy has now been placed back on the table with actual reasoning behind it. And that reasoning connects directly to a change in the market environment that every SHIB holder needs to understand right now. Before we unpack the full story, let us place the chart in context. According to market observers, SHIB is currently trading near 630 units, pressing against a compression zone that has held firm for several sessions. The price has been moving in a tighter and tighter horizontal band since the broader market began stabilizing in late April 2026. On the weekly time frame, the 50-day moving average has been rising from below the current price, which technically means it is functioning as a rising support floor rather than an overhead ceiling, threatening to push the price back down. That is a structurally different and far more promising technical picture compared to where SHIB was sitting just 2 months ago when the token was breaking lower almost every other week. According to market data, the current market cap is approximately $3.7 billion, and the 24-hour volume as of May 1, 2026 has been holding above $150 million, showing that genuine capital remains engaged with this token even during a sideways phase. RSI on the daily chart is sitting in the neutral zone near 52, which means there is room to run in both directions, but no technical overextension. Warning signaling of force reversal is imminent. What the chart is describing right now is not a broken asset. It is a compressed asset waiting for a reason to move. And that reason may have just arrived. Here is what is wild. As of April 30 and May 1, 2026, a fresh wave of market commentary has surfaced, specifically floating the level of 0.0005 as a plausible 2026 target for SHIB if a very specific set of market conditions falls into place, according to reports. This is not a random social media rumor. These are structured, conditional forecasts being discussed by traders and observers who follow SHIB's cycles with genuine analytical discipline. Sources suggest the conditions they are pointing to include improving overall crypto liquidity, a return of retail speculative appetite, and SHIB maintaining its dominant presence on major trading platforms as the meme coin category heats up again. All three of those conditions are showing early signs of materializing right now. Retail interest in speculative assets has begun creeping back. The broader crypto market has been posting tentative green sessions, and SHIB's exchange, presence, and liquidity depth remain among the strongest of any high volatility token in the market. Here's the kicker. To understand how significant 0.0005 would actually be, you have to do the math. SHIB is sitting near 630 units today. A move to 0.0005 would represent a gain of approximately 7,836% from current levels. As per recent analysis at 0.0005, the market cap of Shiba Inu would need to reach a level that has never been seen in the entire history of cryptocurrency, given the current circulating supply of approximately 589 trillion tokens. Analysts are therefore careful to frame this as a long-range, best-case speculative scenario rather than a near-term call. But the observers now attaching this number are building a conditional roadmap rather than simply tossing out an exciting figure. That conditional discipline is what separates serious analysis from wishful thinking. But here is the thing that most people overlook when they dismiss a target like 0.0005. The burn mechanism exists precisely to change the supply equation over time. Every Shibarium transaction contributes SHIB tokens to the destruction pipeline. Every new use case built on the network increases that transaction volume. And every increment of supply reduction, no matter how small it looks today, moves the required market cap figure for any given price target downward over time. It is not an overnight solution, but it is a real, ongoing, compounding force that serious long-term analysts include in their models. The people floating 0.0005 are not ignoring the supply math. They are building scenarios where that supply math shifts enough to make the number achievable within a multi-year window. Now, here is where it gets interesting. The argument for why speculative demand could realistically return to SHIB specifically rests on observations about where money flows during the later stages of a crypto market cycle. Historically, when Bitcoin stabilizes at elevated levels after a major run, capital rotates outward into progressively riskier assets. It moves from large caps to mid caps, and then from mid caps into high volatility speculative tokens. Industry watchers note that Shib has consistently been one of the primary destinations for that rotation because of its enormous holder base, its constant presence on every major exchange, and its deeply rooted community infrastructure. When that rotation wave arrives, Shib has historically outperformed the broader market significantly. The observers now pointing toward 0.0005 are essentially saying the foundational work for that rotation is already being laid, and they are not basing this on sentiment alone. The on-chain picture heading into May 2026 shows several structural signals that have historically preceded major SHIB moves. On-chain trackers indicate that whale wallets in the upper holder tier have been adding to their positions at a pace described as the highest accumulation rate seen in recent months. The token has been absorbing significant distribution from early holders without the price structure cracking below its defended floor. In a mature and functioning market, when supply hits the order book and the price refuses to break lower, it typically means hidden demand is absorbing that supply at a faster rate than is visible on the surface. That is a technical setup that transforms the 0.0005 conversation from impossible to conditional possibility. Now let us look at what has happened historically when this type of setup emerged for SHIB. Think back to the window in early 2021, before mainstream awareness of Shiba Inu existed outside the deepest crypto circles. There was an extended period where the price looked completely flat. Wallets were accumulating quietly, retail was absent, and then the meme coin narrative exploded across the entire market. SHIB captured a disproportionate share of that wave because it was already positioned on the right exchanges, with the right community infrastructure, and with enough liquidity to absorb sudden massive inflows without structurally collapsing. The setup analysts are describing for a potential move toward 0.0005 shares the same skeletal structure, not an identical situation, but the same underlying mechanics playing out in a different market environment. The community that has held through the decline from December 2024's peak is not made up of casual observers. These are conviction holders who understand that the gap between where SHIB is today and where it could be is filled not by speculation alone, but by the slow accumulation of ecosystem development, improved market conditions, and sustained community energy that outlasts every bear cycle this token has ever seen. The broader ecosystem continues building. Shibarium is advancing its AI integration roadmap. The Rakuten wallet listing in Japan opened regulated access to a vast new audience. Real infrastructure, real community, real conditional pathway to the level analysts are now openly discussing. The 0.0005 conversation is live. The conditions are forming, and the window to be positioned before speculative demand fully returns is the one you are sitting in right now. So what do you think? Is 0.0005 possible by the end of 2026? Drop your honest price target in the comments right now and let this community weigh in. Click on one of the videos on screen for more because this story is only at the beginning. Hit the notifications bell right now because the next development in this narrative could arrive fast and you cannot afford to be the last to know. And share this video with every SHIB holder you know. The ones who understand what is building now are the ones who will be ready when it does.